Wealth can buy comfort, security, and opportunity, but true richness comes from freedom. The freedom to spend your time as you choose, to follow your passions, and to live without constant compromise. In this chapter, we'll explore how financial independence, intentional living, and smart choices can create the ultimate reward, control over your life. You'll discover why freedom is the most valuable form of wealth and how to make it real. What freedom really means. When we talk about wealth, most people think about money. They think about how much they earn, the size of their bank account, or the value of their assets. And while money is certainly a part of the equation, it is not the whole story. True wealth is about freedom, the freedom to live life on your own terms. It's about control over your time, your choices, and your energy, rather than being enslaved to obligations, schedules, or external pressures. Consider the difference between two people with the same income. One works long hours in a job they dislike, constantly chasing the next promotion or raise. The other has structured their finances and career to have options, autonomy, and flexibility. The first may have a high salary, but they lack freedom. The second may have less income, but they enjoy a richer life. The lesson is simple. Money alone does not create freedom. It is how money interacts with time and choice that determines real liberty. Freedom starts with understanding what is most valuable to you. Many people pursue wealth without ever asking, what do I want my money to do for me? They accumulate assets, climb the corporate ladder, or chase external measures of success, only to find that the rewards don't align with their true desires. Time becomes a commodity they no longer control, stress accumulates, and even the wealth they've earned feels like a cage. True freedom is achieved when your financial resources serve your life, rather than controlling it. There's also a psychological dimension to freedom. It's not only about escaping financial constraints, but also about escaping the mental chains of obligation, expectation, and fear. People often feel trapped by debt, lifestyle expectations, or social pressures, even if their bank account looks healthy. Freedom is the state where you can make choices without being forced by circumstances or fear. It's the ability to say no to what doesn't serve you and yes to what does. The power of freedom is profound. Imagine waking up and deciding how to spend your day, not based on what you must do to pay bills or maintain appearances, but based on what you truly want to do. Freedom allows you to invest in relationships, pursue passions, create experiences, or dedicate time to personal growth. It transforms how wealth is experienced, no longer as numbers on a screen, but as the capacity to live intentionally and fully. Freedom is also cumulative. Small choices compound over time. Every decision to reduce unnecessary obligations, every commitment you decline, every dollar you save or invest to create optionality builds freedom. Just like financial compounding, freedom compounds. The earlier you start, the greater the effect over a lifetime. And unlike many material measures of wealth, freedom is rarely diminished by age. It can grow if managed wisely. However, freedom is not just about removing constraints, it's about creating options. Many people mistakenly equate quitting obligations with being free, but true freedom is having the ability to choose how to engage with opportunities. It's not simply saying no, it's having the resources, the time, and the mindset to say yes to what matters most. Freedom is agency, autonomy, and the power to direct your life. The path to freedom also requires discipline. It requires understanding the difference between wants and needs, between short-term gratification and long-term autonomy. It requires resisting lifestyle creep, making intentional choices about work and spending, and consistently prioritizing time and energy over purely financial gain. It's a mindset shift as much as a financial strategy, a way of thinking that values control over accumulation, choices over status, and intentional living over passive existence. Ultimately, freedom is the highest form of wealth. Money can buy comfort, security, and opportunity, but freedom transforms those resources into meaningful life experiences. It is the ability to live according to your values, pursue your passions, and maintain control over the most precious resource of all, your time. In this chapter, we will explore how to build, protect, and expand freedom, turning financial resources into a life fully lived. The cost of trapped wealth. We often assume that money automatically brings freedom. After all, more income should mean more choices, right? But the truth is more complicated. Many people accumulate wealth and still feel trapped. High income or large assets do not guarantee the autonomy to live life on your own terms. In fact, without careful planning, wealth can create new forms of constraint. Consider someone who earns $1 million a year, but spends it all maintaining a lifestyle that exceeds their needs. Expensive houses, luxury cars, constant social obligations. They feel compelled to work longer hours to sustain it. Their wealth is trapped in obligations. Instead of freedom, money becomes a treadmill, requiring more effort, more stress, and less control over time. The higher the income, the higher the expectations, and the deeper the sense of entrapment can grow. Another example is professional success that comes with heavy responsibilities. CEOs, entrepreneurs, and high-level executives often make millions, but their days are dictated by meetings, deadlines, and constant demands from clients, investors, or employees. Financially, they're wealthy. Experientially, they're constrained. Money cannot buy freedom if it is accompanied by obligations that consume your time and energy. True freedom requires not only resources, but autonomy over how those resources are used. Debt is another invisible trap. Even moderate wealth can be undermined by obligations like mortgages, loans, or recurring bills. People with high income often carry significant liabilities without realizing how these commitments limit their flexibility. The freedom that comes with money is undermined when a large portion of it is automatically earmarked to satisfy prior obligations. In essence, freedom is not just about how much you earn, it's about what portion of your life and resources you truly control. Lifestyle creep is a subtle but powerful enemy of freedom. As income increases, spending often rises in parallel. Bigger houses, fancier cars, more expensive vacations. All of these commitments reduce the flexibility that wealth is supposed to provide. The more you earn and spend, the less your wealth buys in terms of autonomy. It's possible to be rich on paper, but still feel trapped by choices, schedules, and financial pressure. Then there's the emotional and social dimension. Wealth can create new pressures, expectations from family, friends, or society, fear of losing what you built, and anxiety about making the wrong financial decisions. Even when the money is technically yours, these pressures can make you feel constrained. True freedom requires not just financial independence, but emotional and psychological control over your choices. The contrast is stark when you look at people who live intentionally. Some choose to live on far less than they could afford, freeing themselves from the obligations that typically come with wealth. Others structure their work and finances so that their time, not their income, is the most valuable asset. They understand that freedom isn't just the absence of financial worry, it's the presence of choice, the ability to pursue what matters without being enslaved to money itself. Financial freedom is also about optionality, the ability to say no to work that doesn't serve you, to decline commitments that drain your time, or to pivot when circumstances change. Trapped wealth, on the other hand, forces you to say yes when you'd rather say no. It locks you into routines, obligations, and expectations that may not align with your true priorities. Understanding the cost of trapped wealth is crucial. Money alone is insufficient if it comes with strings attached. True freedom requires intentionality, planning, prioritizing, and structuring your life so that resources amplify choice rather than restrict it. The goal isn't merely to accumulate assets, but to design a life where money serves you, not the other way around. In short, the most valuable form of wealth is the one that maximizes freedom. It's not the size of your bank account, the number of investments, or the prestige of your job. It's the ability to control your time, direct your energy, and make decisions without constraint. Once you recognize the cost of trapped wealth, the path to true freedom becomes clear. Prioritize autonomy, minimize unnecessary obligations, and use money as a tool to expand your life, not restrict it. Designing your life around freedom. Now that we understand what freedom really means and the cost of wealth that can trap us, The next step is designing your life intentionally. Freedom doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of deliberate choices, planning, and consistent actions that align your time, energy, and finances with what you truly value. The first principle is clarity of priorities. You must understand what freedom looks like for you personally. For some, it may be the ability to travel, work on passion projects, or spend more time with family. For others, it might mean minimal obligations or the option to change careers without financial stress. Knowing what matters most guides every financial and life decision, from the career you choose to the lifestyle you maintain. Freedom begins with a clear vision. Next is financial intentionality. Managing money is not just about accumulation. It's about using resources to maximize choices. That means controlling spending, reducing debt, and building buffers that allow you to step away from obligations when needed. Every dollar saved or invested strategically increases your ability to make decisions without pressure. In essence, money becomes a tool to buy time and autonomy rather than an end in itself. A third principle is creating passive and flexible income streams. True freedom often comes from having resources that flow to you without constant effort. Investments, royalties, rental income, or a business that runs with minimal daily involvement are examples of ways to generate cash flow while preserving time. The goal is to decouple income from labor, so your freedom doesn't shrink when you step away from work. Time management is equally critical. Freedom is as much about what you don't do as what you do. Learning to say no to distractions, unnecessary commitments, or obligations that don't align with your priorities is vital. Protecting your time creates space for meaningful work, rest, creativity, and relationships. Autonomy over your schedule is one of the most tangible and impactful forms of freedom. Another key aspect is simplicity and minimalism. Reducing complexity in your life, fewer possessions, fewer obligations, and fewer distractions, makes it easier to maintain freedom. Every unnecessary commitment or material attachment reduces flexibility. Simplifying finances, lifestyle, and work enables you to respond quickly to opportunities, recover from setbacks, and spend time on what matters most. Designing your life around freedom also requires flexibility and optionality. Life is unpredictable, and circumstances change. Freedom comes from structuring your life so you can pivot when needed, explore new directions, and take advantage of unexpected opportunities. This might mean having multiple skills, multiple income streams, or a mindset prepared for adaptation. Optionality ensures that your freedom is resilient, not fragile. Equally important is aligning work with values. You don't need to be wealthy to be free, but aligning what you do with what matters to you magnifies the sense of autonomy and satisfaction. When work contributes to purpose, passion, or meaningful goals, it feels less like obligation and more like choice. Conversely, misaligned work, even if well compensated, can erode the very freedom your wealth is meant to create. Finally, freedom requires continuous reassessment. Priorities, circumstances, and opportunities evolve over time. What defines freedom at one stage of life may shift later. Regularly reviewing your finances, commitments, and life goals ensures that your actions continue to align with your definition of freedom. Intentional life design is not a one-time effort. It's an ongoing process of adjustment, reflection, and refinement. In summary, designing a life around freedom is about intentionality, clarity, and alignment. It's about using money as a tool to expand choice, protecting your time, simplifying your life, and creating optionality for the future. When done well, freedom is no longer an abstract ideal. It becomes a tangible daily experience. By actively shaping your life, you transform wealth from a measure of accumulation into a vehicle for autonomy, purpose, and fulfillment. Maintaining freedom for the long term. Achieving freedom is one thing, but maintaining it over the long term is a different challenge altogether. Freedom is not static. It is dynamic, requiring ongoing attention, discipline, and deliberate action. Without careful stewardship, the autonomy you worked so hard to build can slowly erode, sometimes without you even noticing. The first step to maintaining freedom is guarding against lifestyle creep. As income or resources grow, there is a natural tendency to upgrade your lifestyle. Bigger house, fancier car, more expensive habits. While this can feel rewarding in the short term, it often reduces flexibility and increases obligations. Long-term freedom requires resisting the temptation to inflate spending in proportion to income. By keeping your lifestyle intentionally modest, you preserve optionality and the ability to make choices without financial pressure. Next is protecting your time and energy. Freedom isn't just about money. It's about having control over how your days unfold. Guard against overcommitment, unnecessary responsibilities, and distractions that consume energy without adding value. Regularly review your schedule, eliminate what doesn't serve your priorities, and ensure that your time remains aligned with your definition of freedom. Autonomy over time is just as important as financial independence. Another key principle is diversification of resources and skills. Financial freedom is more secure when it doesn't depend on a single income source or career. The same applies to personal freedom. Cultivate multiple skills, networks, and income streams so that if circumstances change, you can adapt without losing autonomy. Freedom thrives when your options are broad and flexible, allowing you to pivot in response to life's uncertainties. Equally important is ongoing financial discipline. Freedom can be undermined by debt, poor investments, or impulsive decisions. Regularly monitoring finances, maintaining emergency buffers, and making intentional decisions about risk are crucial. Discipline doesn't feel glamorous, but it is the foundation that ensures freedom is sustainable. The goal is to create a financial ecosystem that supports autonomy indefinitely. Emotional and psychological freedom is also essential. Even with money and time, freedom can be compromised by fear, attachment, or external expectations. Learn to recognize when decisions are driven by pressure, status, or comparison rather than by your own values. Cultivate a mindset of independence, self-awareness, and intentionality. True freedom requires both external resources and internal clarity. Long-term freedom also depends on strategic simplicity. Complexity in finances, commitments, or lifestyle increases the risk of being trapped. Streamlining obligations, reducing unnecessary consumption, and focusing on what truly matters makes freedom resilient. Complexity may feel sophisticated, but simplicity protects autonomy and enhances the ability to respond to opportunities and challenges. Flexibility and adaptability remain critical. Life is unpredictable, and circumstances change. Maintaining freedom requires ongoing adjustment, reassessing goals, revising priorities, and being willing to pivot when new opportunities or challenges arise. The habits and structures you build must be resilient, allowing your freedom to grow rather than erode over time. Finally, maintaining freedom is about intentional legacy. True autonomy allows you to shape not only your own life, but also the lives of those you care about. By teaching values of choice, discipline, and flexibility, and by structuring resources responsibly, you can extend freedom to family, community, or future generations. Freedom is most powerful when it is sustainable and transferable. In essence, long-term freedom is a practice, not a destination. It requires ongoing vigilance, discipline, and reflection. By protecting your time, money, energy, and mindset, you create a life where freedom is not fleeting, but enduring. This ensures that wealth and resources serve your life, not the other way around, allowing you to live with autonomy, purpose, and fulfillment for years to come. As we close this chapter, the key takeaway is clear. Freedom is the highest form of wealth. It's the ability to control your time, your choices, and your energy, not just your bank account. But even with autonomy and resources, appearances and possessions can distract us from what truly matters. In the next chapter, we'll explore a curious paradox, the man in the car, how the pursuit of status and admiration often fails to bring the satisfaction we expect, and why true fulfillment comes from living for yourself, not for others' approval.